Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Podcasts of the Rings, the best named Lord of the Rings podcast of all times. And I'm, as ever, joined by Alexander Mitchell, my podcast partner and partner IRL, where he gives me the meat and gives it to me raw.
Yes, so much quail sauce happening.
Gross. This is a PG show, folks. But yeah, look, I'm just quoting the show.
We're just using the wonderful idioms that have been given to us in this television program.
I mean, you know, I already have like my favorite moments of what happened in episode 5, but I'm really excited to go through and discuss what happened in episode 5. I feel like it's very polarized, the opinion on how this episode landed with people on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be the case with this show, sadly. But I think I fall...
Well, I'm not even talking about the people that are just naysaying to naysay.
Sure. Yeah,
I think in general, people have differing opinions.
Yeah, I have opinions on both sides of was it good or was it bad. There's a lot going on in this episode. There's a lot of good stuff and maybe some stuff I didn't like so much. So it contains multitudes.
That. You contain multitudes, Alexander. I think let's just jump into it raw. Yeah, let's get to the meat.
Get to the meat. Yeah.
Let's start with the most boring of the stories.
Sure.
The Harfoots.
I mean,
I don't know if it's that boring. Listen. Here's what my overall impression of this episode is. How people, it's a lesson in how to look evil, because we had 3 separate side-eye evil glances from characters we didn't expect it from and from characters we did expect it from. Mm-hmm. And some people, actually, I did make a promise on our Twitter that if people shared with us what they thought of episode 5, we might mention them on our podcast. And friends of the podcast did just that. Geeks with Shields podcast gave us their opinion on this past episode, which I ended up responding to. But they said, more Durin and Elrond is great. Unfortunately, while I enjoyed this episode, it kind of felt like it was just spinning its wheels, generating more mystery without progressing anything. Now, I fully agree with the more mystery part, but I feel like it's more mystery with the direction as opposed to who it is.
Well, yeah, when we had some of the mysteries revealed, I was definitely thinking, man, I hope they don't draw these out for the rest of the season, and I hope, you know, so the one mystery that continues and we get a little bit of development of in this episode is in that Hobbit storyline with the stranger. And I hope we soon find out what's going on and they don't just keep drawing that out. And with the hilt.
The hilt. We have a little bit more information on the hilt.
But it's that whole thing of, you know, I think of the last Star Wars film where it was like, we need the key to the thing to get to the thing. And I hope they just tell us what it is that's going to lead to, and they don't just keep it a mystery from us until the very end.
Well, and here's the challenge with doing something like that, because you're totally right that they, like, the first opening of, you know, the last Skywalker or the whatever, or the first Skywalker, or the new Skywalker, whatever that stupid movie was, they should have just done it. Just get to it. Go get the thing. You know, go on a fetch quest and get it. The longer they hold certain things in mystery, the better the reveal has to be. And my fear is that the reveals are not going to be worth the amount of weight that they're putting on it. And I could be wrong. I want to be wrong.
Yeah, we're halfway through the season and we have really no idea about the stranger still. And so it better be a cool thing they do with him. And I'm sure we're not going to find out till the last episode.
I think that's going to be the last reveal, is probably the stranger. Yeah. I think the hilt will probably have more of an idea. Here's my theory, is that we'll probably have more of an idea what's going on with the hilt because Adar wants it. Yeah. Adar wants it.
Dadar.
Daddyar. Oh, Dadar. I love it. I want some more of it. we know that he wants it. We now know that he's not Sauron, but I'm jumping the shark here a little bit.
Yeah. Were there any other people responding?
No, that's what we got. But also,
Cool.
I sent it late in the middle of the night last night.
Yeah.
But Geek with Shields, friend of the podcast, have their own podcasts. Worth giving it a shout out and checking it out.
Yeah, and next episode, give us your thoughts, and we'll talk about other people's thoughts. I hope we get some closure on some of these threads. But let's talk about the stranger.
Yeah,
because that's sort of what we see in the very beginning. We get I loved so we get so many good one-liners this episode. My great thumb, my great thumb, like such cool stuff there. And I love how he's adopting the Irish accent a little bit. I
also saw criticism on why are the Harfoots having Irish accents? Like, why not?
Yeah,
Who cares?
I think it has to do with the certain tropes, which I'm not educated on. Maybe other people have opinions about it. I think it's fine.
It works just to distinguish them too.
Yeah.
And I don't imagine they're going to speak, Liverpudlian or
no.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, what other accent? I guess they could have gone Welsh with it.
Yeah, they could have made different choices, but
I just think it's like a dumb thing to criticize it on, and like just enjoy it. And you pointed out such a great thing. He's adopting the accent because he's learning their language.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
And so we get this interesting moment that sets up for the last thing we see, where he says, "I'm Peril." Like he's this kind of innocent figure we continue to see. And Nori assures him, no, you're good. Like, you came here to help, which, I mean, I guess she has a feeling or a sense of that without really any evidence. Like, what evidence does she have?
She's a chaotic good.
Yeah, she's
a chaotic good who's going on gut and her sense, which I was thinking about that in the second rewatch. She 100% is going with her gut, and I am a believer in gut and trusting it, and she is trusting her gut. If he's a bad person, let's say he's Sauron, or he's a bad boy that we don't yet unnamed character, there's a world where he's gray, whether he's Gandalf the Grey or not, where he could have been bad, but can be good now, because we're also watching that redemptive arc in Halbrand potentially, from not being good to being better. Everyone is in the gray here. A little bit.
And I think that's a really good point. This episode in particular, I think, has a lot to say about the theme of, one of the overarching themes of this whole series that has been emerging is the light versus the darkness, which is a very Tolkien idea, but they're doing their own interesting spin on it. Whereas in Tolkien, I think
it was very clear which was.
Yeah, it's pretty clear cut. I mean, you do have some people in the middle, but there are generally ideas of these are the forces of good, these are the forces for evil, and you're pretty much either good or evil. Obviously there are morally great characters, but it's that idea of cosmic good and cosmic evil, right?
Right.
Which exist here, but they're playing much more in that realm of. I mean, even we saw with Galadriel in an amazing scene with her. Which I'm starting to like her a little bit more now. Which is good.
We'll get to that.
This idea of, well, there's light and dark in me. We get that with Halbrand. We get that with Galadriel. We're seeing that with potentially the Stranger now when we learn more about him. We're even seeing that in Elrond and Gil-galad's
Absolutely.
dynamics.
Absolutely.
So this episode in particular, I think, really played with those themes. Whereas the last two episodes, we kind of had familial themes, right? Daddy issues.
Right.
Now we're getting more, they're focusing more on these themes of the light and the dark that exist within all of us, and that sort of conflict. Even with the what was it? The apocryphal tale, as Elrond calls it. The song of the roots. It literally
is telling us about their mythos.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
They funneled light and darkness into this tree, and from that emerged the mithril. And I think the line that I really liked what was it that Gil-galad says is where was it? He calls mithril as pure as light and good, but strong and unyielding as evil. Like this mingling of, light and dark. So we'll see with the stranger if they end up making him, this is a good guy or this is a bad guy, or more of that in the middle. But I think it would be very on theme for the show if he was more in the middle.
Well, I think I guess that's what I was trying to say is I think if he was a bad character, because I was so glad that, like, when he's I'm Peril, dead, I'm at the fireflies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he did kill the fireflies. And that was exactly what we're talking about right now. And so it was good that he acknowledged, like, that I shouldn't have done that. You can also see regret in the way he's explaining that, right? And fear of himself. I think he probably was bad and was probably cast out of wherever he was, which is why he was, he could have been that, right? And I think we're going to see him get good by the power of Nori. I think we're going to see him upset for what he did to her, which we'll talk about that shortly. And this is my theory, at least for my assumption.
Get good, bro.
Get good, bro. Get good, bro. Hey, can you tell that we Twitch stream as well? But that isn't. So this is something too that we had to. You didn't catch, I think, the first time around. But he saves them from the wolves. Selflessly saves them from the wolves.
Yeah.
When they get into a corrupted forest on their walking journey, right? What?
Well, yeah, and so the couple things that happened before that I think are support your theory. I think that's an interesting theory of he was evil, but he forgot his past, and now that he's met Nori, it's like, oh, I'm good, and I have these powers, but there's a darkness within him. We see these cultists or priestly figures who have found the site of the meteor crash, and they have on what... I wasn't sure if it was a shield or there was maybe a mirror on the front.
It looked like a plate.
Yeah, some kind of circular device.
Or like an altar plate or something like that.
Yeah,
it was weird. Ooh, it could be like a weirding plate.
What's
or
that?
Or it could be like a I'm just thinking about the weirding way, which is something
that
that doesn't exist in Dune. Yes. It could be like a compass. I wonder if it's like a compass that's guiding them to where
maybe that's
is.
how they've found the
way that they're holding it feels like someone,
because she's pointing it at the crash site,
right? So it felt like that to me initially, that it was guiding them.
But it was on the back of it, the constellation that we saw him mark out that they're trying to maybe help him find, or he's looking for. It's the same constellation, so clearly there's a connection there. Are they trying to beat the stranger there? Are they looking specifically for the stranger? Why are they looking for the stranger? Is it he's a member of their organization, or is it this cult they're a part of? Maybe a cult to Morgoth or something? I mean, they seem evil. That shot of the one sort of androgynous figure with the staff, that's an evil look.
So I guess that's my point, is we get 3... camera pointing upward, side-eye evil looks.
Okay, so that's one.
That's one. We get the second one from the thing you told me not to continue talking about because things happened before it.
The stranger, yes.
The stranger.
Sorry.
And then we get Halbrand. When Halbrand is asked to swear fealty to Adar, he...
Waldreg.
Did I say Haldrag?
Halbrand. I like that ship though. Let's ship. Yeah, everyone's shipping Halbrand and Galadriel. Where's our hashtag Haldrag?
Haldrag.
We need our Haldrag crew. Where are you at?
Waldreg.
Yeah.
is given the knife to sacrifice one of his.
Yeah, by our favorite orc.
By our favorite boy, son orc. And he's got the side eye. You see him turn on a dime, go, Mm-hmm. So the thing is, if you got one that is ambiguously good or bad,
the stranger.
You've got, even the cultist. We don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, it's got to be bad,
but it looks pretty bad.
So we got one that's bad, and Waldreg is Waldreg is bad. Waldreg is bad. So the thing is, so if they're both objectively bad, from like we can just let's just say they're both bad side-eye glances, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would insinuate that the stranger also is a side-eye evil person.
That was on first viewing the sense I got, that this was a turn. Because we had seen him in the episode before kind of dealing with, this conflicted sense of self, right? I'm peril, the fireflies thing. And then we have this moment where let's talk about that moment specifically. So he saves the hobbits and injures his hand, right? Doing that shockwave thing, which is very cool. And then Nori comes upon him healing his hand or doing something with his hand where it's in ice. And then
it's not in ice. He dips it into a cool little pond or like a collection of water.
Mm-hmm.
And he's growling almost some incantation.
Yeah.
We heard a lot of growling this episode too. This was a growly episode. So yeah, he's chanting and he knows he's hurt. The bruising is scary, and so he's probably instinctually trying to heal himself.
And I'm interested what language he's speaking, because there were no subtitles.
Right. And if he could heal, why isn't he healing Nori's dad?
Well, I think he's discovering his powers,
totally.
Right?
I'm just realizing if he could heal, he should have done that.
I mean, maybe we'll see that.
Instinctually, I think he is healing himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, he really feels like a wild animal.
Yeah.
His instincts are at their base right now.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to get home, and he's like a cornered animal. So he's healing himself, and then it seems like the things turn to ice around him.
Right.
And he's not trying to hurt Nori.
He doesn't even seem to know she's there. He's got his eyes
he's
closed,
out of it.
And she's trying to talk to him, and she's like, "What's going on?" And then she touches his hand.
Which she's an idiot.
Well,
like
as you said, chaotic
going
good.
on. Yes, but she sees something's going on to his hand. Yeah. Let me touch it.
The curiosity of the hobbits.
Yeah, I know it's not science fiction, it's science fantasy, but it's like science fiction 101, don't do it. And the person that touches the wall of the spaceship is going to die.
Yeah, it's like when they go out in Alien or at Aliens.
100%.
And they don't have the mask on, looking at the...
Or they led the
xenomorph
quarantine. It's all of that. So anyway, like an idiot, she touches his arm and gets locked into the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the ice breaks, it shoots her off. But in that moment, she gets flashes of scenes we've already seen. Him landing, him grabbing her hand previously, scaring her. I think a glimpse of his eye, too. And that, to me, signified that she got to see into his mind and his memories.
Yes, and what memories did she see that we, the audience, did not see?
Because I don't think, this is my reasoning for saying it's the memories. I don't think she's scared of him just because of being pushed back.
Right.
Because she already knows that he is wily.
Yeah, and that was... you picked up on that and I didn't the first watch through, but I was like, oh, she's just, reconsidering, oh, I thought he was good and now he hurt me. But I think she's
smarter than that.
Yeah, she's smarter than that, and I think it is there's something more, and maybe something unlocked in him, and that's why he gives the look, like he remembered something through that moment, like he saw the flashes too. So I'm interested, what did he see? Does he now know something about his past that also Nori knows, that scares Nori? And does that, I'm sure that will relate to the figures that are following him.
And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it first, because midway through the episode, that happens and we don't see it again. They don't come back to, they're really dragging out this Stranger Thing. But I guess that's why I'm trying to say, like, yes, while it's brewing mystery still, there's at least stakes now. The stakes are getting heightened and you can see them ramping up to some sort of climax, and I'm excited.
Oh,
now,
totally.
The other issue I have with this episode, and maybe you feel similarly, is that why the heck are we still in Numenor? We have been in Numenor for so long, that it's embarrassing.
I disagree. I'm fine with being in Numenor because Numenor is
You
great.
like them.
I love them. It's the central part of this whole show is Numenor.
How? We don't get to it till the 3rd episode, and they're leaving it in the 5th. Or the 2nd episode? 3rd.
Yes.
3rd.
Miriel, Elendil, and company are leaving, but Farazan's still there. Kemen and Aarian's still there. We still have players in Numenor, and we're going to be coming back to Numenor. So
100%. And the thing is like, here's what I will say with people that criticize the pacing. They have a challenge in using stories from the appendices specifically and from Lord of the Rings that we don't know about otherwise. Unless you are you or knew better, do better. Like, we don't know who these people are, and we really don't care. So what they're doing, especially that's why the last 2 episodes prior to this were familial.
Yeah.
We need to have stakes for them to care so that we care about the things that then happen to them.
They're endearing us to these characters, making them relatable, and to some degrees of greater and lesser success, in my opinion.
Correct.
One thing I will talk about with Numenor that I did not like is we get 2 scenes, because we talked last episode about, I hope we get more with Aarian. Aarian is in 2 scenes in this episode. Guess what she's doing in both scenes? Running after men being very concerned.
Fair.
She's running after Farazan, shouting at him and being like, what's going to happen? And then we get a little moment with her and Kemen. I guess their relationship has strengthened off screen.
Right.
It's been a week, and
which is embarrassing.
They're like holding hands now. It's like, okay, you're just skipping past this. Or they guess they're in love now, or what? I wish we could have seen that. Then we get,
I'm okay. I mean, I wish we could have, but I'm also okay.
Sure. But, and then we get her running after Isildur, concerned, teary-eyed when he's, going off. So,
and he just can't read emotions.
Yeah. He's like, hey,
I'm going. Yeah.
I'm going to not be separated from Beric.
But I did tell you, and did you catch it? Maybe on the second, you did a rewatch on your Twitch channel with everyone. You did a watch party. She does not like the elves. And when Galadriel's there, she's very vocal about it, which is interesting because her dad is still a loyalist to the elves.
I did miss that.
So when they go to sit down, they're doing the puppet show.
Yeah.
And Galadriel's in that puppet show.
Right.
They all come to the table with a pint or something. Mm-hmm. And Isildur is talking about Beric, his horse that he's in love with or something. And the first thing that Arondel says is she shouldn't be here, in so many words, or like she's the scourge or something. So that. Like it is really quick.
No, she says the scourge of Morgoth or something. Like she's referring to her as like, oh, she's this war hero. She was the scourge of the enemy. I think
no, she was not saying that.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I'll have to rewatch.
Rewatch it. We got her opinion very quickly, and because she's not a significant character, it doesn't matter, and they just gloss over it, and we don't see her father go, hush, we believe in elves or whatever.
Well, yeah,
but we do see him say to her, I'm not talking to you. So like he already doesn't favor her.
Sure.
Which is not cool.
Yeah, I just hope they flesh her out more. But
why? To what end?
Because as you said, like, how many female characters do we have that feel like are important and have their own motivations beyond, the men in their lives? And so I hope they do that with her. And she's like a new character. So I want to see those new characters do cool stuff, and I want to like them. So
to that point, I do think, and I finally am around on the other side, I do not think Galadriel and Halbrand are interested in each other.
Yes. No, it's purely and
a
okay,
kinship.
So let's talk about their relationship in this episode, because we get tension. We get this sort of dual betrayal at the beginning, which I enjoyed. Both of them acting selfishly. We get Galadriel, who it's revealed, okay, well, you put Halbrand up for this mission and you didn't consult him, and he's not happy about that. He's learning about it for the first time from Tarmiriel. And then on the other hand, you get Galadriel inferring, oh, well, and this is, as I said, a thing that happened off screen. We would find out later. Halbrand's conversation with Pharazôn, turns out that's how he got his guild crest. He gave up where Galadriel was going to Pharazôn in exchange for a guild crest. So both of them acting selfishly, maybe a little darkness in there. Playing upon those themes. Wow. Thank you. And so we get that tension, and Galadriel basically, reiterating to him, like, look, you are the linchpin of this mission. If you don't choose to go, this is not going to work. So there's that tension there, which is very interesting. She ends up, pleading with him to go. And then we get a scene later on where, she apologizes for blindsiding him.
Which might be the first time she's apologized.
Yeah, we're seeing some growth here. She's maybe learned a little bit from Halbrand in that sense, picking her battles a little bit. But we get this really interesting scene where, they connect over this darkness inside of them, right? Halbrand is saying, he alludes to like siding with the enemy. Mm-hmm. And, you don't know what I did. What did he do? I want to know what he did. And he pushes back against Galadriel's kind of facade. He says, like, whose dagger is that? Who did you lose? He's prying deeper into, like, what are your motivations? And I loved this because us as the viewers get to see that, and we can empathize a little bit more with Galadriel because we know that she, we saw this in the prologue, but hearing her in this moment as we're following her character express these things, I was betrayed by who I thought was my best friend and my king, and they saw me and could not distinguish me from the enemy, right? We're understanding what she thinks about other people, about herself, and she's not just this brash, trying to solve every problem with a sword person. I mean, she is that, but we understand a little bit about why.
Right.
And the things that are happening internally with her. And so I really like this scene. I'm starting to like her a little bit more.
Totally.
So that was probably one of the highlights of the episode to me. And, we end up then getting Halbrand reconsidering, and we get the little tease, right? When they end up, all right, it's time to go. He like puts the, his little symbol down.
His little bottle.
Yeah, what's in there?
I have no idea. The light of ARONDIR.
Yeah. I hope we find out what's in there. But he puts it down, and they zoom in, and then, he grabs it again. So their dynamic, I think, was really good in this episode. But we also have the Elendil / Isildur dynamic, which, continuing with the daddy issue themes in this episode, I really enjoyed this. We're getting sort of, I thought it was going to be Elendil maybe chastising Isildur for just signing up in the first place, right? We don't get the moment where he finds out he's not in the Sea Guard, but we get this conversation of Isildur saying, put me in. Why can't you? And Elendil like, well, there's a lot of people who want to go. And Isildur basically saying, can you put me at the front of the line? And I love this sort of tough love moment from Elendil. Well, what are your qualifications? Are you a member of the Sea Guard, the Queen's Guard, the Merchant's Guild? Like, we're getting this sense of Isildur as kind of a, I don't want to say slacker, because he seems like, when we see him in the Sea Guard, he's working hard and he's good.
But privileged kid.
Yes, exactly. He's had a lot of things handed to him, and because of that, he's enamored with, what his brother did in the West, which I want to find out more about that. I feel like I keep saying that every episode, but it's true. And so he has never really had to work hard for stuff, and so, he hasn't been put to the test. And he says, well, now I'm ready. And his dad's like, well, sorry, you've had your chances. And we get that similar thing with his friends, right? When he goes to them, can you get me on here, Valandil? And he's like, I'm not staking my reputation for this. And we get more great moments with Antimo, the looks that Antimo gives. He loses the bet to Valandil about Isildur coming and asking, and he just hands Valandil the coin.
How about, just like I said, he's our new Mathor.
I think so.
Because,
which means...
No, hold on. Because they also made him, like, sexually viable. He has, like, a woman he's about to marry who wants him. And I get it.
And Valandil kind of ruins the mood there.
Yes.
In a great moment.
Yes. I just feel vindicated. That's all.
No, you were 100% right. I just hadn't seen enough of him when we first saw him.
I understand.
I love him now, but I hope that now that he is our new Mathor, he does not
die. He's definitely going to die. Actually, Valandil is going to die for sure.
Look, it's the same setup. We have 3 people. One's our main character. One's the captain or the lieutenant now. And then one is the comic relief, and who dies of the 3?
I hate it.
Well, place your bets now, folks. Just like
I
Antimo
think
placed
it's going to
bet.
be Valandil. I think it has to be, because I think we're going to see him die, and that is going to make Isildur realize the stakes are very high.
And maybe that's why he names his future son after him.
Oh, sad.
All the feels.
For someone who hasn't died yet.
Look, we're making predictions.
Yeah.
Speaking of Valandil and him being lieutenant, we had an amazing scene. I love this scene with Galadriel training the new recruits. We see Antimo and Valandil fighting, and they're terrible.
It's so enjoyable. They're
not
terrible. She's just very good.
Well, when they're fighting each other, they're
sure, because they're not taking it seriously. Because there is no fight. There's no reason for them to be taking it too seriously. Also, I guess they're not in the army. They were on the ship's guard.
Yeah, the Sea Guard. Yeah,
Sea Guard.
But I love 2 things about this. One, the dynamic of Elendil and Galadriel. Kind of like, now that they're on the same page a little bit, the sort of sly looks between them, like speaking in Quenya with each other. I like their dynamic a lot. I think they have good chemistry.
There's a lot of respect and mutual. They see things similarly as leaders. And to your point, I actually think he normalizes her as a character too, because we need someone that's grounded, that agrees with her. Otherwise, she is just howling at the moon.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and speaking of which, I forgot to mention this in the stranger section. Sorry, I'm totally sidetracking.
No, you're totally right.
When we get the shot of the stranger with the moon, that potential theory that people have had, and a lore connection of him being the man in the moon, which is referenced in one of Bilbo's songs in Hobbit lore and legend.
Which is interesting.
Is he the man in the moon? And then maybe they're going to tell us who the man in the moon is, and that's a whole new thing. Could be. I don't know. It was just a very conspicuous shot of the moon. Did he come from there? Is he looking up at home? I don't know. Anyway, I agree. He grounds Galadriel, and I like their dynamic. And we get to see her, like, having fun.
So this is something I said, and you agree. This is the first time we should have seen Galadriel. Not Sadriel. Or Madriel.
You mean like the real Galadriel?
We should have seen her happy here. Her first smile should have been here.
Not on the horse.
Not on the horse, because there are implications that I don't even I didn't realize.
She's gonna be going to Isildur for tips.
Hey, so Beric is.
How do you keep things interesting with Beric?
Yeah.
But yeah, we see her having fun, and I love Antimo like going for it when she's just one-on-one facing Valandil, and Antimo's like, I'm gonna get that promotion, and it's great. It's a fun little action set piece. And
she's skilled, and it redeems the criticism you had from last episode, where all of a sudden 4 guys are manhandled and in the clink.
Yeah.
And now we can see how she's capable of besting several people.
Yeah.
And
to be
the
fair,
show's point and fairness, you may be saying about the same thing. We don't need to see everything.
Well, no, I was going to say, I agree with that. But also, to be fair, these are pretty terrible swordsmen, and the 3 guards are ostensibly a little bit better, and she didn't have a weapon. So that still is a little weird.
Okay.
It's fine. It's a minor quibble, but no, I really enjoyed this scene. And yeah, we don't need to see everything in the show. They're going to have to cut some stuff, right? You see that conversation with Halbrand and Farazan, but then they tell us in the next episode and it's fine. So, and then we get, Valandil scores the hit against her. He gets the promotion that Elendil promised. And Halbrand enters and he does the little sword flippy thing, alluding to his past experience. Did he fight for the enemy? Like, what's going on with Halbrand? I'm still, even though we know about him more, there's still mystery to him. So Galadriel's like, I've never seen a Smithsade do that. She looks, concerned. We also, when the Númenóreans, Valandil and Antimo are celebrating, one thing I have to talk about in this episode, the most Tolkien episode ever, and also in some regards, not the most Tolkien episode ever, which we'll get to when we get to Linden, maybe. We get the songs. We got the great song with the Harfoots in the beginning, which I really enjoyed. They have a nice little...
It's so contagious. It's a great earworm.
And a great montage of the traveling. We see them traveling. Looks like they're getting closer and closer to the Southlands. So I think we'll see some meeting up, maybe, with some plot lines there.
So it's like Crash.
Yeah, they're all going to converge. Hopefully better than Crash, because that's a terrible film. Oscar winning.
Horrible.
And then we get that song, which is the most Tolkien thing ever. And then we get the song with the Númenórean. So finally we get some songs. I mean, I guess we had Disa singing, but that...
We did have Disa singing, and something I saw on the internet, by the way, going back all the way to episode 1, when they, the elves start breaking out in song, and Elrond kind of alluded to that being a thing. Someone tweeted that Galadriel looks over at them like, what the heck? So there's a world where Galadriel didn't hear the song, which is why she couldn't go also.
Interesting.
The way that they continued, it was a woman on Twitter. I'll have to find her. She was very analytical about it, but in a very fascinating way. And her theory was that it would have hurt her had she gone. And it was like ridden with like fear, like whether she could have gone into the light or not, which I think she had a theory as to why. But it was interesting because she does look at them like, what the heck are you doing? Why are you singing?
Yeah, like she didn't hear the call.
Yeah.
But she was on the boat.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So we have had singing several times.
But these are Tolkienian songs of like, the songs you hear in
the tales.
Yeah. So I mean, those are also like the elf song would be, but so it just felt very Tolkien. But we also have in Númenor the whole thing with Farazan and Kemen.
Sure.
This was my expectation with his character of, even though he's siding with Miriel, he is up to big plans and scheming. Kemen is just very short-sighted and saying like, "What? We don't want to take orders from elves. What are you doing? We have to you have to disagree with the queen and get the people together, right?" Because we saw in the earlier scene, everybody's kind of mad at Farazan. And we got an interesting line from Kemen that I think is the first time we're kind of, not the first time, but reiterating the dynamic that Farazan as Chancellor and Miriel have, Miriel being the Queen Regent. Kemen says, your cousin may hold the scepter. So we get confirmation they are cousins. We finally got that confirmation in the show.
Right.
Your cousin may hold the scepter, but it's you the people follow. So similarly to that scene where he's talking to everybody in the square, we're getting that confirmation like he's kind of the one who holds a lot of the power politically.
Right. He's the worm tongue.
Yes, except he's definitely not a lackey.
No.
But yes, he's kind of whispering things in the Queen's ear maybe. But we get to see the things that are in the chronology of the Akalabeth would have happened already, but Farazan sort of setting up future plans for Middle-earth. He's saying when this has all ended, elves will take orders from us. And he talks about, ruling over the low men in Middle Earth, getting their resources, which is what the Númenóreans did, and having a ruler who is in their debt. So he's planning on using Halbrand as a pawn, which I think is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. But we're starting to see Pharazôn as the conqueror, but with a slightly less, heavy-handed approach. He's more of the political schemer in this adaptation than he was in the Akalbeth, which I think is a cool.
It doesn't mean we won't see him get to that in like season 2 or
exactly. Yeah,
I think get power drunk.
Once Sauron gets involved, I think we're gonna start to see
Sauron.
That. Okay, you're Waldrag right now. You are Sauron.
I promise you are Sauron. Waldrag is us, and I hate that.
Yeah, that was the most relatable line of the whole episode.
Seriously.
You are Sauron, right?
Wait, you're Sauron.
I'll serve you, whoever you are. I'll kill a kid. It's fine. Which we don't see on screen. So
no, we don't.
So but then happen. Yeah, it's ambiguous. We also get then Kemen going to blow the ship up, and look who it is stowing away on board, Isildur. And you had thoughts on this.
I have serious thoughts. First of all, I hate when there's too much ex machina happening. And this is something that's discussed when it comes to screenwriting and films and TV and books. You're allowed one. You're allowed an episode max. I think a series, one coincidental happening. And what is that coincidental happening that we're going to let happen, Alex? The one that they get to have for the whole series is that Halbrand finds Galadriel. That's it. Because that's a big ocean, and that's a huge stretch. And he's a king. And she's, I'm just saying it's a huge, I understand it's their doom.
Yes.
Wait. The fact that Isildur coughs after trying to sleep, seconds after Kemen knocks off spigots on the boat, is the only reason Isildur isn't dead. Is the only reason.
I mean, it is in...
It's the only reason.
I think it's in Appendix Y that it is written by Tolkien. Isildur is a very light sleeper. He goes... I think there's like 3 or 4 paragraphs on...
You're lying.
On Isildur being a light sleeper. I don't think it's
funny. And I don't like being played.
Folks,
because you're the lore person. And
check Appendix Y.
We can't lose faith in you, Alex. You can't be an unreliable narrator.
I'm just saying, read Appendix Y. It's in there.
Here's the thing.
On a serious note.
On a serious note, he should have never coughed.
Well,
and on a more serious note, he should have heard Kemen.
Sure.
It should have been as simple as that. He's not dead because he coughed. And also, Kemen, what are you doing?
Yeah, it could have been Kemen does it, and instead of coughing and Kemen uncovering Isildur, it's Isildur just wakes up and goes, okay. But then he would have hid and probably wouldn't have confronted Kemen because of...
Oh, sure. But
that's probably why they didn't do that. It had to be Kemen
but at the same time,
discovering
what are you
Isildur.
doing? I see. Yeah, but either way, he's still a stowaway, and it's so dumb, Alex. It's so dumb.
I don't think it is.
It's just a cough. He would have never coughed.
I think it's fine. I didn't have a problem with it.
He should be dead.
It is in Tolkien, fate and chance things happening are a regular thing. So I'm fine with that being a part of the story. You know what I mean?
So dumb.
Okay. But we do get, so they argue. He's like, what are you doing? And then they tussle, the lantern breaks, and then the ship goes up, and Kemen trips, and then Isildur has this moment where he's looking out and looking back at Kemen, and then we just cut to the ship exploding. He ends up saving Kemen in an act of goodwill. You know, it's like this dude was a traitor, right? He's about to blow these boats up, and Isildur still saved him.
I mean, he still was self-serving.
Well, I don't think so, because like obviously he knows who Kemen is. I mean, did Aarion tell him that this is the guy she's been seeing? I don't know. Maybe that's part of the decision of like, it's my sister's boyfriend. I gotta save him, even though he's a traitor to Numenor. So we get this show of his character, right? And Elendil's there at the docks with the sea guard, and Kemen vouches for Isildur. Like he could have let me die, but he saved me. And even though Isildur lied and saying they were on a fishing boat, it actually Kemen was kind of telling a half truth there. So yeah, that's Kemen's extent of the plot for this episode. Should we jump over to my favorite? Or no, I guess we talk about the end with Numenor, because we end in Numenor, and then we'll get to the best part of the episode, and also the worst part of the episode.
Yes.
We get to see them going off. Now they only have 3 ships because 2 of them got blown up. Oh my god, it's so good.
The music is amazing. Bear is killing it.
The Numenor theme is my favorite so far.
Yeah, it's so.
I had one quibble. Why are these ships that are going out on a why are they carrying highly explosive things?
Because
why did the ship just go up?
It didn't just go up, because obviously first of all, there's oil, which is necessary for lanterns and other things, I'm sure. And then they're going to have gunpowder. No, they don't have gunpowder.
No, the gunpowder does not happen till Saruman.
How do they do cannons?
Black powder is not. I mean, maybe the Númenóreans discovered it and that technology was lost in its fall. It's not impossible, but would they? I don't know if we see them using.
It's wooden and it's oil, and it definitely does blow up, and it probably shouldn't.
Yeah, it's not going to be an explosion like that. Anyway, but that's Hollywood for you. You know, cars in movies, when they catch on fire, they just explode
immediately. Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe the Númenóreans have black powder, and they'll be using munitions against the orcs, and it'll be a very quick battle.
Yeah.
They just have guns. Anyway, that was a minor quibble. But so
quibble one more time, and I'm quitting.
Yeah, it's just a short little quibby.
Oh God.
But we get this amazing scene of them going off. Elendil being the coolest dad ever, when Valandil's like, "Oh, I see your father pulled in a favor for you," and then he's like, "Go sweep the stables," and then they have a laugh and make up, and they're friends again, and it's great. But Elendil,
it's totally boys do that, right? They punch and then they become best friends, and again. And
that's how they make up, is they fight. But Elendil's wink to Valandil, I love. He's just like, I know I'm a cool dad. He's got the cool dad energy. All Isildur's friends love him. And his helmet, oh my god, the armor. I love the wings on the captain's helmet.
It's so good.
It's so good. And then we get Galadriel, and everyone's looking on in awe. And my question is, did the Númenóreans just faithfully recreate her armor, her elven armor, or did they just have a spare set that they fit to her that was in the Hall of Lore? Like, how did she get the armor back? I mean, the Númenóreans are great.
It's the same armor. Did you?
I'm pretty sure it is.
It looks like it. It's very similar. I think what's more accurate, what's more likely, again, it's a little bit of a stretch of an imagination, but I think Halbrand made it for her.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
I think that's more likely, because it's definitely not the same exact one that she's wearing when
I'll have to compare
when she's climbing, because there's more like stars on that one.
Maybe, yeah. But the chainmail looks like the same, and it has the star fan.
Yeah, but there was like a star on her shoulder and stuff, so I think this was a little bit different.
Okay,
but yes, my theory was that Halbrand whipped something up for her.
I like that.
If it's the same exact thing, if not, then that's what happened.
And Halbrand has a great glow up. His armor's looking great. He's still, as you like to say every episode, his face is still messed up.
Hold on. I just pointed it out last episode. And second
Okay.
of all, it is still messed up, and it shouldn't be. That is problematic. That is saying something, and it could be the blemish of his memories of what he did when he
Sure.
was a follower of Morgoth. Who knows? Or if he, sacrificed people from his land to survive. Like, I'm sure that's what my theory is.
I like it because we know at least a week has passed based on.
At least.
But here's the thing. His lip was really messed up and his face was really messed up. And we're also, like, the other people who have been messed up that we're looking at are elves and Numenorians. Right? We haven't seen any. And Theo, I mean, it's been only maybe a couple days.
A day
but he's human. So it really does, I think, separate the sort of distinction of this guy's human.
Sure.
These are elves and Numenorians he's with. They heal fast. You know what I mean?
It's a heck of a choice. I hear you, though. Yeah. I hear you.
And then we get the amazing score as they sail off, and it's great. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with them next episode.
Who gets thrown overboard? Poor Otomo.
We also, in the parade, we got a Numenorian sousaphone, which I love. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. Like the tuba you wear.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, got
and
it.
Evoking very much Peter Jackson, Return of the King vibes when they're sort of throwing the flowers at the soldiers. Except it's much happier here because in Minas Tirith, they're on the other end of things going, oh, we're never going to see most of you again.
Oh, you're going to die.
Yeah. In Numenor, they're like, we're the best. You're just going to go kill everybody.
We're so nice that we're doing this. Yeah, 100%.
Except for Aarion.
Right. Aarion's like 100%.
So let's talk about all the events in Linden. All of the political maneuvering in this first scene we get is so good.
It's so good. Here's the thing. It is great, but Gil-galad makes a grave misstep immediately.
Do tell.
He tips his hand immediately without even just drinking. Like, they're in the middle of a toast.
Well, we are cutting to that. I'm assuming this is like they've been there, they've had dinner, or like had, it's not like this is the very first time they're talking. This is the first time we're seeing them.
It's pretty tacky, though, to not finish a toast.
That's
agree. Bad politics.
I agree. But we'll find out later why he's maybe so eager to push. But he does push, and Durin pushes back, right? Gil-galad saying, oh, you're Khazad-dûm, known for being quiet, but your forges have been, very fired up lately. Can you tell us why? And then he sort of spits back with, well, the elves I've seen, the elves been digging deep. And then he points out the table. Mm-hmm. Tables.
The tables are turning.
Oh. The turns have tabled.
The turns have tabled.
I love this little bit from Durin. And can I just say, I think some of the best acting on this show is all this stuff. Is what is his name? Owain Arthur as Durin, Benjamin Walker as Gil-galad, and Robert Aramayo as Owen.
I'm gonna agree. We're seeing the strongest, most believable storytelling, but also leaning really deeply into the bit little larger than life of these characters. But like you're still buying into that this is a big story, but it's so believable because they're so committed.
But it's the subtleties because you had a comment of like the Galadriel and Halbrand scene, which I enjoyed in terms of character development. But you're like, they're acting really hard in this.
They're both trying to act. So sometimes you can see it when you're like, there was a scene in the Orville, which I did the other podcast on, and I didn't point it out, but it was like, I've done that on stage, trying really hard to act, and we all know, like, and everyone went, wow, and it's not. That person is trying really hard to convey to you the emotion that they're feeling,
right.
And I will say this too, just to go back a little bit. I feel like the actress who's playing Nori, her She's very believable. She's very earnest storyteller. She's very, very good. And I'm not detracting from anyone's capabilities by saying and agreeing with you that Durin and Elrond and Gil-galad is like the best thing that we got going on, because we have amazing actors. We have Arondir, who's also just amazing but like captivating, right? But to your exact point, Galadriel and Halbrand literally just start growling, and I'm mad now because you're mad, and as opposed to, hey, what's a different way you can approach this? How do you actually feel?
Right, and that could be also on,
I don't like seeing
directing
I don't like seeing,
and everything, you know.
Yes, because again, like I said, it was a lot of growling this episode, so maybe it was a choice. But I don't want to see the seams of you making choices. I want to see the choices being made. Yeah,
and I with the Linden stuff, I don't see it. It just I'm like, yep, this is Durin and this is Elrond. Like, I just believe it.
Elrond, Gil-galad with the big ears.
Yes. Oh,
he's got big fat ears. His ears out of all of them are the fattest.
I mean, that's why he's king. You know, those are the qualifications. Whoever's got the biggest ears.
You got a lot of cartilage. Hey.
Well, we know who Jess is shipping. It's that big cartilage.
I guess so. He gives the cartilage raw, you know.
Give me the meat.
Give it to me raw.
So we get just the subtleties and acting of this political maneuvering. Durin lying about the table is one of my favorite moments. And then Elrond and him sort of, you know, Elrond being, and I knew this was going to happen, but I still loved it, where he's like, you were lying about the table, weren't you? And he just gives him this like look. The look.
Did you know he was lying about the table?
Yeah, I figured it was like him just messing with Gil-galad.
I didn't get that, but you know what? I mean, I understood after. I was like, oh, God, that's so smart. You know, it was such a... But I feel, now that I'm thinking about it, I bet you Gil-galad knew, too.
Yeah, but he obviously couldn't have said, like, oh, you're messing with me in the moment.
Because they both needed something.
Yeah, it was just great seeing, like... And also the editing of, like, them at the heads of the table, and then, like, cutting back to Elrond in the middle of them being like, oh, how do I, you know... make this situation smooth, and the lines he had, like, trying to smooth over, like, oh, let's all chill here, guys. It just totally reinforced their dynamic, and I believed it. But then we get Gil-galad and Elrond talking, and Gil-galad basically saying, all right, spill the beans, dude. Like, did you find anything out? And Elrond saying, I can't tell you. You know, I swore an oath I'd keep Durin's secrets. And then we get Gil-galad saying, tell me the tale of the Song of the Roots of the Hithagir, which Elrond describes as an obscure legend regarded by most as apocryphal, which I'm hoping is true. Because to recap what this is, there apparently, according to legend, a Silmaril ended up in a tree on top of Hithagir, the Misty Mountains, and there was an elf in a Balrog.
Oh, it's the Misty Mountains. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's
and
the elven
and that's
name.
where Durin is, in the Misty Mountains?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, Khazad-dûm is underneath the Misty Mountains.
Gotcha.
So an elf poured all his light into the tree, and a Balrog poured the darkness into the tree, and then lightning struck the tree, and the light of the Silmarils got infused and made mithril, which I'm fine with that as like a legend
cool.
they're adding.
It's kind of cool.
But here's where I have a problem with it.
This is the biggest... It's the lore heard round the world.
Yeah, and this is why I said it's the most Tolkien episode ever for having the songs and getting those vibes of the travel and everything, and then the least Tolkien episode ever for really, if this is true, messing with the cosmology of the world and elves' place in it. Because what Gil-galad is saying, and how he knows this, I don't know, is that, and he shows Elrond there's a blight on this tree, which he says is representative of a blight on the souls of the Eldar. And the only way this blight can be cured is by bathing in the light of the Silmarils, which is contained within mithril because of this origin that they're choosing to believe, which who knows if this legend is true, that mithril contains the light of the Silmarils. So, if they are able to get mithril and harness it and just get all the elves that are in Middle-earth, I guess, bathed in the light of mithril, it will save their souls. And by the way, they will die by spring if they don't leave Middle-earth. So, A, what's causing this blight? Is it Sauron? B, how does Gil-galad know that this is the cure? C, what's their plan for enacting all the Eldar to get bathed in the light of mithril? Are they going to just send off a flare? Like, what? How is this going to happen? Like, what are they going to do?
They're just going to make a Numenorian boat blow up and everyone will know.
Right? Just explode mithril and mithril dust will shower down. But here's why I don't like this. It really changes what it means to be an elf on the cosmological scale, because elves are, as in the clip that we tweeted out, they're not quite immortal. Their bodies do fade over time, but their souls remain.
Right.
And if they are killed, their souls get sent to the halls of Mandos. But the whole thing is that their spirit slowly consumes the body, and that's sort of this relationship. So introducing an aspect where their spirits can die.
Well, I think Elrond says that they'll just fade away.
Yeah, I think
it is it hastening the fading that you're speaking, because he does.
Possibly,
what does he tell Durin?
I don't know if I wrote the exact wording.
Well, what did you remember?
Yeah, he says, Elrond does say they have to leave by spring or their souls will die.
He says that explicitly, or that they'll fade?
He says their souls will fade. Like, it's not just because the thing with the elves is they become these spirit, like any elf who doesn't go to Valinor, their spirit consumes their body, and then their spirits are there but bodiless and kind of wandering around, right? So killing a soul is problematic for the cosmology.
The entire Tolkien.
It's you can't mess with that, right? You can't mess with that. And if there's anyone who could, maybe it's Morgoth. Definitely not Sauron. Like, Morgoth's a Valar, right? Maybe he could, like, if he was involved. Like, I just really.
But Morgoth is like gone.
He's not. He's cast into the void. He's no longer there. So I just this idea of messing with the souls is, how do they know this too? Like, how do they know this is what it is and what the solution is going to be? And also the fact that, like, why is that a solution? Because some of these elves have been in the light of the trees already.
Why don't they just go to Valinor? I know he does say it'll be the end, not just for the elves,
specifically because they have to bathe in the light of the Silmarils, which is the light of the two trees.
In order to go into Valinor?
In order to rid themselves of this poison or blight. But the two trees don't exist anymore. So the only vestiges of the light of the two trees is in the Silmarils. But now apparently it's also in Mithril. So
I'm okay with it being in Mithril. I think this. Because a lot of people were inflamed by this. I think we already can't trust Gil-galad. We already know that Celebrimbor is buying what Gil-galad is selling.
Right. I trust Celebrimbor.
Well, I don't. I trust Celebrimbor only knows what Gil-galad is telling him, and he trusts Gil-galad.
Exactly.
We can't trust him.
Yes.
And so he's giving half-truths to Elrond to achieve his means.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting to me, because
this is contrary to the cool and good guy that Gil-galad was in the Silmarillion, right?
Not true. That people are saying that, and it's just not true. Like, we don't really know anything about Gil-galad's character. Okay. We know he was like a hero of war and all of these things, but we don't know how he was as a political leader. We don't know those kinds of things. So I'm fine if they choose to.
I think we're seeing him as a true politician. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm fine with him, like, lying to get what he wants. That's fine. He can still be a hero of valor in battle, and that would be in line.
He probably has an altruistic reason.
Yeah, it's that thing of doing something bad to achieve an end you think is good, right? Elves are not all just like, I only do good things and never lie. Like, that's not how they are.
We wouldn't have gotten Sauron.
Exactly. But here's the thing is that's I'm fine with. I hope that's the case. I hope this is a lie. And then he has another real reason he wants mithril. But then what's the blight on the tree? Right? So.
Sure. I think I don't know what I can't begin to even understand what the blight on the tree is. I do think that Gil-galad is scared.
Yes.
And trying to get a strong ore for his people
mm-hmm.
that he feels he has claim to. Because if we're going to, let's say, buy into it being a Silmaril light thing, then he wants it.
Sure.
And what leader wouldn't?
And
if Alfarazon knew about that, he'd want it.
And I'm fine with all of that. The problem
I think he's lying about why. I think he's
Yeah.
lying about why they want it. He probably knows Sauron's coming.
No, he doesn't.
And wants it. What?
I don't think anyone
thinks it's Sauron besides Galadriel.
I don't think so. I mean, like, because that is interesting. Is like, well, no, he does. I don't think he knows the extent because he did say we need to get rid of Galadriel to prevent her from making the enemy stronger, which then ties in with he thought getting rid of Galadriel would stop this blight, and it didn't. Which I
think we will see a problem when they find out she's still here, and they'll blame her for the blight continuing.
Maybe. Yeah, that's entirely possible. But yeah, again, I don't have a problem with Gil-galad's actions or motivations. I think those are fine. What I have a problem with is if what he's saying about this dilemma is true and it's not just a lie, then I'm like, ooh, I don't like this. It's an artificial ticking clock that is very contradictory to core elements of Tolkien's world and the elves. So
totally.
I don't like it. But
I don't think you're alone in that. It's a really strong choice, but it's a weird one.
Yeah. It's very weird. And like, why do we need this for the story? Right?
What if it's better that he does know that they need stronger friggin' armor so that they can protect? Because Gil-galad already sent the Wood Elves to watch the Southlanders. So he already knows, like, he's already taking personal onus in protecting Middle Earth. Just let it be that. But that's why I'm saying, exactly. If it's as simple as that, then I think he would have said that. I think he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, is my point.
Sure. No, I agree with that. Yeah. But regardless,
time will tell. Regardless,
we get Elrond doing some master politicking of his own. He goes to Durin, and in the famous scene that will live in infamy, where Durin says, "Give me the meat and give it to me raw."
Give it to me raw. It's the best. It's the best.
It's the best. I think we're gonna do a new little thing where we say, "What was the best idiom of Middle Earth on this episode?"
love that.
And this was the best one for sure.
Quick sticks.
Quick sticks was another good one at the top.
It's cute.
Yeah. But so Elrond basically lays out, look, we need mithril to save my people. And then I love Durin's little, say it again, the fate of your people is in my hands.
The best acting.
Yes.
The most subtle, but exact.
Yeah.
Like it is masterclass. Mm-hmm. Masterclass.
In subtle. Again, it's not this over the top thing. It's just the subtlety.
Nope. It's so amazing.
Yeah. So he agrees. All right. If that's what it means, I will let your people have the mithril. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm curious. I hope the things we were saying turn out to be true of Gil-galad just leading him on, but we'll find out in the next coming episodes, hopefully. And then we get all the stuff with Dadar, him being a very creepy dad and forcing his children to bathe in the sun, and this line of him saying, "I wish you could feel it, for soon it will be gone." So, man, they got plans for Middle Earth. And then all the stuff with Bronwyn, I liked some of it. I didn't like some of it. I liked that she sort of steps up as a leader, right? And she's challenged.
Because she's been going to that.
Yeah, but
she's been heading to that.
She openly is just like, look, I'm taking charge. And then Waldreg brings like half the people to Adar, and he's like, oh, come on, Theo. And thankfully, Theo doesn't go with him. Right. Why he didn't take the hilt from Theo, I don't know.
We'll never know.
Thankfully, he didn't. So we kind of have this rift. Half of them go with Waldreg, half go with Bronwyn. Waldreg pledges loyalty to who he thinks is Sauron. And again, Waldreg being all of us, you're Sauron, are you not? And nope, he isn't. And
it's good to kind of, that's what I'm saying. Yes, there's way more mystery happening in this episode, but like now we know Adar, Daddy isn't him.
So they closed that loop, which cool. Let's get rid of one of them. I like it. And then we get Arondir being a good stepdad, teaching Theo how to shoot a bow and arrow. Apparently, it took him 200 years to become brave, which, I mean, come on, dude. Hurry it up.
I think he's just trying to be nice.
No, he is. He is. But we get this cool moment with Arondir where he, again, reiterates kind of some of the things he was talking about when we get him having conversations with Bronwyn in the first couple of episodes. Like, he's like, look, I see the good in men. You're not all bad. Yeah, sure, half of you left, but half of you stayed here to fight. So right. I like this kind of him, again, seeing the good in the race of men where others do not. And we find out that this hilt is a key. Again, we talked about this. He mentions it's maybe, like he talks about Adar saying he wanted to become a god. So is this going to be, what happens with it? Is it the key to Adar becoming a god? Or a godlike thing? I don't know. That I noticed that. It was a conspicuous line. And then I think the most important thing is that Arondir, he touched Bronwyn's shoulder. Update on the Arondir-Bronwyn ship. He has touched her shoulder. That's as much as happened. They're slowly progressing every episode.
Do you think...
into more PDA.
Is it possible that they actually just have been sleeping together under the cover of night in the same way that Arondil and Kemen have been definitely doing the deed too?
If that is the case, I may have to reconsider a lot of my thoughts on this show, because if they're not showing that to us, 1 out of 10 stars. I understand those all those 1-star reviews now, if that's the case.
Here's the thing I think I hated the most, because I'm with you. I didn't know the lore well enough to be like, wait, elves don't work that way. But I totally am with you and agree that it's a weird choice that they're making. But I hate how quickly Bronwyn is like, yep, well, we're done now. We're just going to go.
It's bad. It's bad. That's the
it's
only
a bad choice.
That's the only thing I don't like about the Bronwyn Arondir stuff in this episode. She instantly gives in to despair when the whole time leading up to this, she's been the exact opposite. And the only reason, the only 2 reasons they do it are, 1, so her and Arondir can have a conversation about like hope and, not giving in to despair and the themes they're dealing with, which it's like, sure, I like that. Explore thematic ideas, but not at the expense of characters doing things. Yeah, characters doing things that make sense. Like she just got up there, and granted, you could say like, well, she shot her shot and tried to lead her people and then saw how it went, and that's what made her do that, but it just seemed very sudden.
Make the stand. Take the stand. Die with I can't trust her as a leader.
Yeah.
If she's going to just throw them all under the bus immediately.
Yeah. But the other reason they do that is because then she says, well, and this tower will fall with us. And then they go, this tower will fall, eh? I have an idea. And they both look at each other like, oh, that's how we're going to win.
And now we're going to sleep together.
His tower will be falling after they're done.
Their lovemaking will rattle the earth.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do that is when, no. Hear me out. When they finally do the deed is we're going to get intercut with that Orodruin erupting. That's going to be the Orodruin Mount Doom reveal is intercut with lovemaking of Arondir and Bronwyn.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they're
I
saving
like
it.
I like it now better.
Yeah.
So, I know you hate it, but you also love it. Let's do our Maythor minute.
Okay.
What do you think he would be doing this episode?
I think he would have had a little side quest, right? So we have Arondir and Bronwyn, and then Waldrake leads half the people off. So Arondir and Maythor get together, and they're quipping about like, oh, I guess blah blah blah. I don't know. I'm not a writer, folks. Arondir sends Maythor to go see what's going on, and then we get a confrontation with Maythor, and who's out on scouting duty that encounters him? Our favorite orc boy.
Our good little orc boy?
Yeah. And so he gets another moment where he can say, boss, I found him. And then he escaped from Dadar once, and he escapes again. Or maybe that's where it ties in with what you're about to do with the Maythor minute.
I'm sorry. When half the town decides to leave, Arondir confronts Waldrake.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Waldrake grab the hilt from Theo and stabs
Maythor. Oh, no. I mean, that would be a cool shot of him just with the hilt stabbing, and then as like a little bit of the hilt's in, it just grows and like pushes out.
Ew.
I mean, if Maythor's going to have a death, that's a cool.
Because I was thinking about, like, did he die also doing what you just said? Because I had the idea, too. Like, okay, he goes on the quest, follows to see where they're going, what the plan is, etc.
I mean, that's certainly a cooler reveal of the sword than just Theo going, all right, let me show this to you, stepdad.
100,000%. And again, Maythor being a lot of heart, or whatever, and be like, come on, you can't leave. This woman has been fighting for you. You suck. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I knew these people are going to be bad.
Yeah.
And Waldrake just goes in for the kill.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's a cool death. That's cooler. I don't know if it's cooler than
it's not.
It's
just we just don't want him to die.
We just don't want
dead.
him to die, but
he deserved better.
Yeah, justice for
What
Maythor.
do you think we're going to see next episode?
I hope we understand what the stranger's up to with the cultists, and hopefully
I have a feeling we won't even see them.
I agree. Again, I think they're saving that for like last episode. I think we're going to. I honestly don't know. Like, I think we'll probably see the Númenóreans arrive, and we're going to see the showdown in the Southlands. We're going to see the last stand in Ost Tirith, and hopefully the Númenóreans get there in time, and that
kind of
battle
like
will happen.
Gandalf.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to see them putting up a fight, and at the last moment, the Númenóreans are going to come in and
I
save
think
them.
we won't get that till till episode 7. I think we're.
Are you serious? What's going to happen with the both those plot lines until then?
They're going to be on the boat for a gosh darn long time. And I have no idea. I just don't think we're going to see the fight yet.
Really? Okay. Yeah, maybe. But then, yeah, it's like, maybe we're just not going to see the Southlanders at all in this next episode then, and it'll be more focused on what's going on with Mithril and the elves and Khazad.
It's possible. I think we might actually get more Mithril. Which, if it's a Elrond Durin
centric
heavy episode, I'm down.
100%. But
there are worse ways you could waste.
I honestly
time.
have no idea where this story with the Mithril is going. I honestly have zero clue.
I hope they don't betray us and totally bork this.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Either way, I will say this: I love talking to you about it.
Much fun.
We have to stop ourselves talking about it off the podcast because we talk about it so much. It's just so enjoyable. I really hope that they follow through and that the mysteries are worth it. Because I'm engaged. I'm super engaged, and anyone that's not enjoying it, they're entitled to their opinion.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Alex, for your wonderful insight and for introducing me to a whole new world that I liked but didn't know I was going to love. I actually knew I loved it. I just didn't know I was going to marry it.
It's great. I'm glad I could be there to guide you through this and enjoy it with you.
Thank you. All right. Until next time.
Till
Wait, it's okay. Actually, we should say follow us on
I was gonna say
Twitter.
Yeah.
At Pod of the Rings. Follow us on Instagram at podcast. Wait, no, POTR pod. We have a website now, podcastoftherings.com. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/podcast of the rings or Pod of the Rings.
It's
one
Pod
of the two.
Of the Rings.
Pod of the Rings. Because why would it all be uniform? I don't know. Yeah, or you can find Alex talking about Tolkien related things on his Twitch a couple days of the week over at twitch.tv/solkatu. SOLKATTU. You'll find all that information though in the liner notes. And until next time,
may our roads meet again.